All right, so today we're going to be continuing on with accessing and creating data structures part 2. And the first thing we're going to go over is accessing SAS data sets with the set statement, which overlaps with some stuff from part 1, but we'll go ahead and do it since it's in the SAS guide. So type data, and then whatever we want to name our new data set. So let's just name it new data set, semicolon, and then we will do set equal to let's say maps dot Africa. Semicolon, and then we'll run it. Save this, and then hit F3 to run it. Okay, it looks like it's created. We'll just go to the log real quick to make sure it's not printing for some reason. So we'll just go down to here to make sure our new data set, since we didn't specify the library, it should show up in the work library. And yeah, new data set should be exactly equal to maps.africa. So let's go ahead and comment this out just so it doesn't interfere with the rest of our steps. So the next thing is use PROC import to read Microsoft Excel files. So first, obviously, we're going to type PROC import, and then we have to specify the out location. So out equals, let's say work.Excel file, or actually we already have an Excel file. So let's say work Excel 2. So that's going to print it out to our work library, and it's going to create a new data set called Excel 2. And then next, we have to specify where the data is coming from. So that's data file equals quotation, and then the file path. So go back to the server files and folders and set it equal to this class.xlsx file. So like I showed you before, you can just right click it, hit properties, and then copy the file path. And we'll just paste it in here. And then the last thing is we have to specify the DBMS equals quotations XLSX, in this case, since we're reading in an Excel file. And semicolon. And then, by the way, if you're using a local version of SAS, you can specify a local file path to a file that's on your computer. But we'll just use this file right now for demonstration purposes. So next line, we are going to specify get names equals yes. And all that does it will read the first line of the Excel file, and it'll create variable names based on that first line. And if we said no, get names equals no, it would just create generic variable names, but I'll show you that later on. And then we will go ahead and run it. Go ahead and save it first, and then hit F3 to run. Log isn't printing for some reason, but let's go down to libraries. And then work and see if Excel 2 got created. And it did. So we can see the variable names are here, name and test score. So the next thing we're going to do is use PROC import to read delimited files. So it's pretty much the same thing. So we'll copy and paste this, just make a few changes. And let's go ahead and comment out this first statement just to make sure there's no interference. So first we're going to change our out file. let's call it delimited 2. And then our data file will be, let's use this class underscore birthdate.csv file. So we'll just append that here. Birthdate.csv. And the last thing we need to do is change the DBMS option to CSV. Save it and then run. We got an error here. Oh, so yeah, I left out the E. So let's go back and fix that. Save it again. Run it. At least our log is working now. All right, looks like it came out all right, and we'll just make sure it showed up in our library. Work. And now we have delimited 2. All right, we'll go ahead and comment this out. Actually, let's copy it first, because the next thing we're going to do is go over all the options we can use in these PROC import statements. So we've already went over the out equals option. That's just where we're going to print the data out to. We've gone over the DBMS equals option, and we've used it twice for CSV and XLSX. And then the next option is replace. So if we were to run this right now, let's see what happens. So you notice we have a note that says import canceled, output dataset work.delimited2 already exists. Specify replace option to override it. So all we need to do, first let's comment this out. Two of these statements. We'll come over here and right after the DBMS, we'll just type replace, save it and run. And we have work.delimited2 dataset was successfully created. So the next option we have is sheet equals. So this is more relevant to the Excel files. So we'll come up here and we'll copy this statement. Sit down here. We'll make sure we specify replace, since we already have this Excel 2 file created. And then we will type sheet equals location, and then whatever the sheet name is. I don't know off the top of my head what the sheet names are right now, so we'll do this later on. But if you knew what the sheet names were, you could type in whatever sheet you wanted to specify, and it would import that sheet from the Excel workbook. By default, SAS will just read in the first sheet from the Excel workbook. And then let's just go ahead and see what happens if we put get names equals no. If it'll load here. Come on. Let's cancel cancel this and try it. I'm not sure why it's taking so long to load here. There we go. So you notice we have generic variable names now, A, B, C, D, E, and the first row of data is name, sex, age, height, weight, whereas before when we had get names equals yes, these were the variables. So we'll just run that real fast so you can see. Get names equals yes. And now we have name, sex, age, height, etc. So we'll go ahead and keep get names equals yes. We'll get rid of this. All right, we'll keep it there for now. But the next thing to do is to use the guessing rows statement. And this is for delimited files only. So we'll comment this query out. We'll come back and copy this CSV statement. Make sure we have the replace option in here. Then we'll come down here and type guessing rows equals, and then here we'd specify how many rows we want SAS to go through the data to determine the characteristics of the data. So by default, the guessing rows value is 20, but if you wanted some more specificity in the data, you type 40, for example, and run it. And a lot of the times, this isn't going to have any impact on your output data, but it's an option that's there if you do need it. So we'll go ahead and delete that. And then the last thing is to use the SAS Access XLSX engine to read a Microsoft Excel workbook.xlsx file. So we've already kind of done that in our PROC import statement when we use DBMS equals XLSX, but I wanted to show you guys one other thing in a libname statement. You can type libname equal or libname and then whatever we want to call our new library. So let's just say, let's call it SAS Access. And then we have to choose our engine, which in this case is going to be XLSX, and specify the path. See, just come over here and copy this path. And then let's go ahead and run it. And then we can come down to our libraries and looks like it's not working for some reason. Let's go ahead and save this and try it again. Oh, SAS Access is not a valid SAS name. Okay, so let's name it something else. Test library. Save it. Try it again. And we'll come over here to the libraries. It's not working for some reason. Let's try it one more time. Test library is not a valid SAS name. Okay. Workbook. So this was a library I created before I started recording. I'm not sure why we're having trouble now, but we can come down here and see workbook, and then instead of having all the variable names listed under here, it actually lists all of the Excel sheets. So like before, when we didn't know what our sheet name was, you could actually run this libname statement and it would list all the sheets for you. And then you could pick a sheet name that you wanted to be imported. So it's kind of helpful. Yeah, sorry for the errors and the weird things that happened, but hopefully you guys get the gist of this. There will be a part 3 coming here soon. Let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything I can do to make these videos a little more clear. Thanks.